Okay, connection. It says it's excellent. We're starting all over again. Sorry, friends out there. Um, saying we had some weird connection issues, so hopefully we resolved it. We're talking about Moo Love and how Jessica says it's super, super good.
No, no, I didn't say
Oh.
super, super good.
Oh wait,
Don't put words in my
sorry,
mouth.
sorry. That was gory, right? I got the wrong
Yeah,
G word.
gory. It's gory. And oddly enough, it hasn't been censored yet. So whatever station it's airing on in Japan doesn't really care about the violence. But basically, it's your classic aliens called the Beta, which stands for some acronym, are invading Earth, and humanity's kind of on the back foot, and they are not doing well. So you're going to see a lot of critters fighting mecha and gooshing civilians and stuff. So I don't know if this plot line is going to be as good as the one set in East Germany, but I'm hoping that it will be because that one really appealed to me. So is anyone else watching this one, or am I the only weirdo? Uh,
Looks
I'm
like
kind of skimming
Vinny.
through it. It's in the back burner.
Ah,
so. I actually was wondering about it because I was wondering if it just a retelling of the old stuff because I remember the title being very similar. So I was wondering if it's just a remake or if this is a continuation from like the other Moo Love shows that have come out, or is it all original, whole new thing?
I
I oh, go ahead, Vinny.
oh sorry. I think this is the original of alternative series. I think there's an offshoot of this that was aired many years ago, from what I'm understanding.
It might be. The characters are different from the first series that I watched though, but in the first series that I watched, spoiler, at around episode 3, the entire cast but one member ends up dying. And the reason I remember it is they had a fake intro where it had the intro with all of the characters that were in the first 3 episodes, and you thought, okay, this is going to be our cast. And then after they all bought the farm, the real intro with the real cast came on, and I had to appreciate that because some anime are not good at keeping their secrets close to their vest in terms of the intro songs. Some animes spoil the entire story in their songs. We've had a few of those. And so I respected Love's attempt at keeping that secret for first time viewers. So I don't know. It could be a complete remake of the first series that I saw, but so far it's different enough that I'm thinking no.
So are you talking about this thing called Mub Love Alternative Total Eclipse?
That might have been it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
won't.
apparently that's
totally.
an adaptation of another thing. So
Okay.
Total Eclipse is different.
All right. Yeah. Like I said, the series is vast in its universe. I am not equipped to explain it or be even remotely considered knowledgeable about it.
Yeah, I'm vaguely interested in this thing because I keep hearing about Mub Love Alternative as being this like thing, this the like the original game or whatever being this thing that a lot of other titles have tried to emulate. Like someone even brought it up, like in a in a review of Attack on Titan, where he was like, Attack on Titan is trying to be this, but it fails.
Huh. Okay, that's a hot take.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really comment on it because I haven't read Attack on Titan, the manga, especially up to the end.
Hmm.
And I've not seen any Mub Love except for Shores' Markin, which is kind of a spin off thingy. I don't know. I guess the thing that kind of repels me about Mub Love is that I hate the character designs.
Awful. They are
Because,
awful. Yeah.
yeah. And it's like on top of just like the aesthetic just screaming, I'm derived from a video game that has hentai scenes from like back in the day or something.
No, it definitely does. Is that if money were no object, I would definitely have a vanity project where I would just redesign all the characters for Schwarzesmachen and just redo it with different character designs because the story, the core of it is good, but I just feel like such a perv watching these sometimes.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Have you ever seen an anime called Blue Gender?
That sounds familiar.
So I think that was another show that was super gory. I was wondering if it's like comparable to this.
Um, well, this one, I would say it might be on par with Higurashi, if that helps. Just insofar as the gallons and gallons of blood. Um, in the first episode, one of the pilots gets squished in his mech, and he dies horribly. And they make no attempt to sugarcoat it at all. You know exactly what happens, and there's a lot of blood. So if you are sensitive to blood and gore, you should not watch this.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next title, which is another Jessica Osama
Yeah,
ranking.
it's called Ranking of Kings in English. I believe it's streaming on Funimation. This one, I initially passed over it because the character designs look very childish, and so I made the assumption that this was a show targeted primarily at kids. But then ANN had an article about how a hard of hearing animator animated the sign language present in the show. And that got me really curious. So the story is about a deaf mute little boy named Boji, who is the son of the current king, and the whole kingdom is very ashamed of him because of his disability. And they pick on him and pretty much make life very hard for him. And so he meets a shadow creature who initially takes advantage of his naivete, but they become fast friends and pals. And you learn that the shadow creature is kind of an outcast based on various circumstances from his family as well. So the sign language is really interesting. I don't know if it's accurate because I don't use sign language at all, but it's just really cool to see that, and I'm gonna watch a couple more episodes to see where the series goes, but it doesn't seem very childish. So I'm not really sure if this is an anime for kids or if it just has that aesthetic. I would be curious for you guys to watch it and let me know what you think. Because it sort of reminds me of that era of Osamu Tezuka and his drawings that are very just cartoony and um, not at all realistic. It's kind of the vibe I'm getting from it.
A
But
friend of mine is really into this, so I mean to check it out. But yeah, I haven't yet. All I know about it is just like what's in the info box of like, oh, it comes from Wit Studio.
oh,
So
this is a
I
wit. Oh, geez.
so I have to imagine that like at least the first 3 episodes are going to look really good.
Hey, they did okay with Vivi.
All right. I don't know. I believe it's on Funimation, so that's where they're streaming that.
hmm
Next up, we got some more of Jessica.
Yeah,
Yeah, a little bit of Albert looks like. What is this called?
Pride of
Puraure? Pride of
Orange.
Orange?
So, for the old guard of anime talk, you may remember a joke we made about how there needs to be a curling anime, right? Um, just
It's not
because
a
all
joke.
these
I
different
want
yeah, all these different weird sports are getting adapted, so why not curling? And when this was announced, it was hockey. I thought we are one step closer to the joke becoming a reality, and I was totally pumped to see a hockey anime. This was a complete and total bait and switch. It is not a hockey anime. It is an idol anime. And they just have hockey there because they wanted to say that they were the first hockey anime ever. And I am just absolutely bummed, gutted that this isn't hockey.
So
So,
do they sing songs on ice?
yeah,
Do they sing
that's
songs while slapshotting and checking each other, or what?
unfortunately no. That would make it infinitely more watchable. But I was
Yeah,
getting major Honoka vibes from the main character, and yeah, I do not think that was a mistake on the design team's part at all. But so Albert, you're
yeah.
watching this one too?
No, I watched the first episode, and once I realized what it was, I made it to the end of the first episode, and I dropped it because I couldn't stand it. And
Yeah,
so yeah, it's not a cute girls doing cute things. It's an idol show. It's not about hockey. I mean, it is, but it's not really. And yeah, and then they broke out into song and dance. I'm like, what am I watching? So in the first episode, they had this. They apparently go to the Olympics and win, and then they have this idol show at the ceremony, right? So idol show. Then uh, then they're all part of a uh, what the heck? They're a craft club, so they do like cross stitching and that kind of thing, right?
hmm.
So there's a club scene of that. Then they get a flyer. Then oh wait, then they go to one of the girls' house, which happens to be a inn, right? Traditional Japanese inn, where there's an onsen. So there's an onsen scene in the first episode. And then they go up to the girls' rooms and they're, little after onsen normal everyday wear pajamas. And then they're having girls talk when one of the girls brings up, hey, I saw this. It's try hockey. Why don't we go check it out? It's been a while since I've been on the ice because they're not in Tokyo. Um, so, so, singing and dancing, onsen scene, girls. I'm like, okay, I'm done. The
Yeah,
hockey part, the intro hockey part was well animated, but the rest of it was awful.
Makes me think of
yeah,
that. What was it? That horse racing anime with the
Yeah, I
girls.
instantly started thinking about Uma Musume. Yeah.
yeah.
So
This. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
how the hell did they manage to transition from like hockey to like? Because I played hockey as a kid. You know, you have to wear all this gear. It takes forever to put on and get off.
So the in-universe story for the Hockey to Idol is that the owner of the hockey rink, who's also the coach for the Dream Monkeys team, hockey team, has always dreamed of combining idols with hockey. That's it.
So
There's no
pump it up.
explanation given for this.
All right, is this based on a mobile game? Like, what the hell is this thing? Has
I
to be.
think they're a mixed media project, so they want to take it that
Yeah.
way. So I just, I'm not one to prattle on about, oh, they need to respect the sport and blah, 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 but they have to at least make a freaking effort here. Is that Albert was saying that, the Honoka clone literally in the middle of this conversation, girl talk, pulls a flyer out of her ass and says, "Hey, let's do hockey." There's no setup, no nothing. It just comes out of the blue and ah, yeah. So very disappointed over here.
So
And I don't even like sports.
so on Mao for recent forum discussions, they have this thing that's up that says, "Is this just a trap to make Canadians watch more anime?" Like what?
Well, I mean, see, the thing is that when I was a kid, girls weren't allowed to play hockey, and I wasn't a kid not too long ago. And it's only recently that there's even a pro women's hockey team. So they could have pursued that angle. They could have gone with, hey, this is the first Japanese hockey team for high schoolers. Let's do that. That would have made an interesting story. But no, we got to make an idol show out of it. So yeah.
So
Any other questions?
I
I
skimmed
did. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I skimmed the trailer, and when they do their idol dance thing, they're not even wearing ice skates. They're just like
Oh,
they're just dancing, with shoes but on the ice. I don't
yeah.
know. They didn't think about this very hard.
No, they really didn't. And my husband caught this because he wandered in when I was yelling at the TV, and he noticed that they didn't even take the covers off of the ice skates when they were ice skating around the ice.
Uh-oh.
They still had the black covers on the blades. So, and that's what I mean is that they of them not respecting the sport, even though that sounds so pretentious. It's just you got to make an effort to get me to buy this, and no, they obviously did not.
They're appropriating Canadian culture.
Yeah.
Better be careful. The Russians might have something to say about that. But yeah, no, it's awful.
Yeah, I did
Next.
watch episode 2, so if you have any questions about the show, that's as far as I'm gonna go.
So,
I've done my duty.
okay. Interesting. Okay, let's go from this trash to something better, actually. What do you call this? Sahot. Oh, man. Sorry.
What is going on with you?
Sai Hate no Paladin. Every time I try to mouse over it, brings up a box from the thing above, which covers the title, and so I'm like in the middle of reading it, and then I cover
yeah.
it, and I'm like, oh, gotta move my
It's
mouse.
been doing the same to me.
So,
Yes.
what is the Faraway Paladin?
Faraway Paladin.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, actually, quite a few of us are watching this, right?
Yeah. So, this show is based on light novel, which also has a manga adaptation. It started in the Shousetsuka ni Naro, right? Naro site, which is let's become a novelist. And it was popular. It got picked up. There's 5 volumes of the light novel out. And it's nominally an isekai because the child that you follow, Will, he has some memories of his previous life, but it starts off kind of like Mushoku Tensei as a baby, right? And he grows up in this city that with 3 beings that are not human. There's a skeletal warrior, a mummy priestess, and a ghost wizard. And for the most part, at least the first 3 episodes, you're following him as he grows up in this strange environment, and until he reaches the age of 15, where he has to. You're considered an adult, and he has to pass some trials to gain his adulthood and freedom to pursue his own dreams, kind of. So, it's like I said, it could have just been straight fantasy. They just threw in this isekai bit, at least for right now. I don't really see it playing a huge role, except everyone, his 3 guardians think he's a genius because he can figure things out, but that's because he's had an adult life and he has some of those memories to draw upon to understand situations and analyze situations and come up with people's motivations. But yeah, it's well animated. It's got an interesting world setting. You are involved in the growth of him as a child and trying to figure out why is he the only alive person in the city of dead. Is there anyone else? Clearly there is from if you watch VOP. but he's not going to meet anyone until he goes out on his journey. Um, so there's still a lot of mysteries that are involved, which there's some that gets explained in the third episode, I will say. But yeah, if you like fantasy, right? I think you will like this. It's more slow paced at the beginning. There's good character development. The problem I see is out of the five light novels, I'm not sure how much they'll cover. There's probably enough for 2 seasons, but beyond that is going to be a problem. Apparently, the author has had some issues, mental issues, trying to keep writing. So he's been on hiatus for several years. So I don't know what they plan to do if they ever get to a season 2 or season 3. Probably is where they'll run out. But for now, I think it's a pretty good fantasy show. And it would forget the fact that it's isekai. I would say.
Mm.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I haven't seen the third episode, but I've read the manga way past anything the show's covered, so that's why I wasn't too focused on making sure it was up to date. But when I saw it, I was really excited because I've the beginning was really interesting for me, and but I will have to say that the anime I think is doing a little bit better in the pacing because I remember reading the manga and being like, man, this is taking forever to go anywhere, and because they were doing a lot of info dumps and giving us a lot of information about the world and their whole discussions with the Gus and them and things about the outside world, and but still everything was still kept kind of vague because like we have no idea what's outside of where they're at or where they even are. So um in the manga, and I remember it was like almost, I swear, like 15 maybe 20 chapters of the manga until we actually um started getting exciting, I think I would say. But in the anime, they're actually brought up the pace quite a bit, and it's going through it at a decent rate, and I'm really enjoying it and how they're telling the story. Um, Other than that, I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, it's just a really good story. Like you almost kind of do forget it's an isekai at moments, and but it's just it's pretty entertaining, I would say, for um myself.
So, having read ahead, would you say that the isekai aspect does come into play, or not really?
Not really at all, no, because like they still don't even make a lot of references to his previous life, except for just his initial growing up, where he's able to discern things quicker or learn things, or
Mm.
I mean, his whole other life has almost like nothing to do with the whole story.
So it's kind
Yeah,
of a
that's kind of hard.
Grimgar level of isekai-ness.
Mhm.
Kind of. He does mention that he wasted his life being inside all the time, and there's a shot of a young man in front of a computer.
Hmm.
And so his motivations seem to stem from not wanting to waste this new life again. But other than that, it really doesn't tie back to his previous life at all. So yeah, you could easily forget that he's been isekai'd for whatever reason. But I like this one. I think it's solid so far. Even though I typically have an isekai allergy, this doesn't bother me very much because the character has an actual personality. He's not meant to be a viewer stand-in. He's not a power fantasy avatar or anything. He's a real person that inhabits this world and is trying to just make his own way. And I like that.
Yeah, and the other thing I think it's kind of unique considering it's an isekai. It's not like he's trying to bring his knowledge and change things here. He's trying to adapt to the world he's in and not use his, I guess, other world knowledge too much. So I think that's a big difference compared to all the other isekais I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say look forward to it. It gets pretty interesting. I don't know how far it's gonna go because, like you said, that it's still ongoing. So even the manga is ongoing, and I think the manga is on a monthly release because of how long the chapters are and detailed. So it's been a slow releasing series. But
I think there's 5 volumes of the manga, and it only covers a portion. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what, but like the TV episode 3 is in the middle of the second volume of the manga, so you'll quickly run out of material, I think. But I know from the light novel portion, there's at least, I think it's 4 story arcs. So no, 5, I think. So yeah, it probably covers a fair amount, but we'll see. We'll see.
all right. Did someone change something on this list?
What?
Oh, I have no idea who that would be.
I think something got changed because I had a different title lined up, and now I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't look right now. Let me change the title again. So I guess next up is Sakugan.
Yeah, I think that's always what that was what was next,
Mm-hmm.
as far as I've seen.
I don't know. Okay.
Wow, Sean, you've actually watched it.
Yeah, I was just like cruising Crunchyroll with a friend, and then like out of jest, I said, "Hey, let's see if Sakugan has Sakuga. See if it lives up to its own name." And I ended up watching 3 episodes of it. I I want to like this show. I'm not sure if I will, but I want to like it. It is a satellite mecha action adventure show that has like noticeably good design. It has a mecha that's pretty interesting because it can transform into transformer style almost into like a car. So that gives the mecha action scenes a little bit of variety. It's not just like duels with big robot humanoid warrior. And the characters are they're sharp, they're expressive, they're fun to look at. And it takes place in like underground Hong Kong or something. It starts in a city that's deep under the earth in a network of caverns, and apparently a cavern network that leads to other underground cities. And I'm not sure if they ever referenced a surface. So I don't know if a surface exists in this world. And the monsters attack the city, and because reasons they then go on an adventure. It's a father and daughter team in a mecha, and they're exploring the cavern, trying to find the promised place that's on the magical map that fell onto their laps. And the first 2 episodes are pretty good, and then the third one, the production quality takes a noticeable dip, and I'm like, oh yeah, anime does this all the time, and I'm getting kind of tired of it. Because most of the reason I'm watching this show is because it does look good. So when it starts looking bad, then I'm, I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, it's like I'm gonna watch some more just to see, like, if it can recover a little bit. But you know, if I get like 2 more mediocre looking episodes, I'm not sure if I'm gonna. Yeah, well, that's what I got for Sakugan. Like, I want to like it, but I'm not sure if I will.
So it has nothing to do with Sakuga, right? It was formerly titled Sax and Guns. So they took that, Saku and Gun, right? And then they smashed it together. So the interesting thing
Does
is,
the word
what?
does the word Sakugan mean like digging or something? Because every time the subtitles are like, okay, now let's dig, and they bring out their Gurren Lagann drill, then they say the word Sakugan.
They do? I don't know.
Yeah,
Huh. Okay.
I don't know. That's what I hear
I
anyway.
had the subtitles turned off, so okay, maybe. I have to check on that. But you know, it's based on, from what I understand, it's based on an actual novel, and not like a light novel. So there's that. It won some awards for the science fiction robot category, some sort of award, or no, it was runner up. It says. So there's that. It like Sean said, it's got some nice designs. I like the characters. I like that it's a father and daughter, even though you know it's a lolly, right? She's 9 years old, but has graduated from university or college because she's a genius. So there's that. There's her overprotective dad, but it's because he has been outside and knows bad things are out there. I'm a little disappointed in the kaiju CG because it's not that great. Uh, I don't know how you feel about that, Sean, but it's not as bad as like Godzilla SP kaiju movements, but it's not like Gridman kaiju movements. It's somewhere in between. I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah,
It
thinking
looked off.
thinking back on it, it does it did seem kind of stiff, but part of it just might be how it's storyboarded in the sense that like there's a whole lot of the the I don't know there's a lot of like pause in the action, and the the father daughter duo are talking about something, and the kaiju are just kind of standing there. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be
that
that. It could be that they're you know CG animating, right? And you have to input how they move, and I don't think it's modeled after something correctly. So it doesn't have an organic feel. It looks really stiff. Whereas you actually want the robot to be kind of stiff. I mean, if it was slightly janky on the robot, I would be fine with it. But on this organic looking kaiju, you kind of want it to move a little better. That's my complaint about CG.
Yeah,
But the
it's like
mecha is
the mecha
cool.
is very dynamic, and the kaiju are just always stuck in their one, like, I don't know, battle pose or something. They don't do that
And they
much.
used the two same kaiju, right? So far, we've only seen these two, and they look exactly the same. They're like a pair. So,
Yeah,
but the mecha is designed well. It transforms. It's got some little gizmos. It goes into battle or digging mode, right? So it changes like the facial plate of it. Yeah, it's cool. It's got it is the setting is very Gurren Lagann esque at the beginning, right? But then the fact that these horrors exist outside, like the kaiju and other threats, it's kind of made in abyss style, right? With these cute kids going off to do horrible to encounter horrible things. I mean, her best friend, spoilers, in the first episode dies. That came out. I'm like, oh no, don't say that. And then she bites it. I'm like, oh, flag, flag, flag.
hmm
So it's not like a happy-go-lucky world. There are things that are horrible things out there, and people die horrible deaths. So
but it doesn't seem
there's
like
that.
twist. It doesn't seem as twisted and perverse as like Made in Abyss so far. So I'm not
Oh yeah,
expecting that out of it.
No.
right, right. Yeah, Made in Abyss gets really, really uncomfortable, especially like the movie. That was horrific. I don't really want to watch it again.
Yeah,
Uh,
where
I
this
haven't
thing
seen
seems
any.
generally upbeat.
yeah, yeah. So uh, it's probably the best mecha show. I'm going to continue watching it because I like all aspects of it. Yeah, I do understand that the quality drops. I'm hoping that the city that they lived in is kind of based off of China, Hong Kong, right? It seems like, especially with the name Pinyin. But
Hmm.
some of the other cities probably are modeled after other types of culture. So I'd like I'd like to see that. And I like to see the outside, and I like to see other kaiju designs, and I'd like to see where it goes. So yeah, I'm hopeful for it, and I'll probably continue watching it. And this is one of my recommendations for this season.
Hmm.
I do like that it is an adventure show so far. You know, it's not like Gurren Lagann in the sense of like Roro fight the power, got to defeat the big bad and all of his minions or whatever. Like they haven't introduced that stuff yet. There seem to be intrigue, maybe antagonists, but we haven't seen them yet
Right.
outside of like the opening.
So I almost did try this because someone did mention Gren Lagann. And now hearing you guys say it, I'm like, huh, I guess it really was like it. But it only shows that there's only 2 episodes, is that correct? So it's kind of late.
3.
No, three,
Mal, you lied to
three.
me. But
Well, no, no.
so you say
Everything's between a 6 and 8.
I'm gonna have to check it out with Albert's recommendation, I guess. Let's see here. What's next up? What's this next title here?
Tornado Assassin.
Oh, a
Fun.
new isekai. Yeah. This is called Sekai Saikyo no Ansatsusha Isekai Kizoku ni Tensei Suru. Hey, I think I did that one pretty well.
That was very good.
The world's best assassin to reincarnate in a different world aristocrat. So is the English
That's
translation.
such an awful.
So let's see here. Who's been watching this? Oh, quite a few of us.
Yeah, I have.
You have. Yeah. I'd be interested to see what Jessica has to say about it.
I'm kind of watching this one at gunpoint. Because it's not my cup of tea. I've seen 2 episodes. I think the third one just dropped, and
Yeah.
it's it's tolerable. I kind of think the premise could work. But the second episode I wasn't too thrilled about though because it was basically watching someone create their character in an RPG, which I don't think is very fun. Um, So I don't know. I think I'll watch another episode or two and then see if my captor will let me go or give me the sweet, sweet
Uh,
release of death. But
So
so I will say that this is based on light novel, like if you couldn't tell from the long ass title, and it's
Mhm.
also the author. His other famous work is Redo of Healing.
No,
What? Yeah,
no.
it's it's amazing how different the two are. You would have never figured it out, right?
I never would have made that connection. Oh my gosh. So Albert, have you read the novels of this series then?
No, I don't
No.
generally read a lot of light novels, but I did check it out at first because it was the same author. I'm like, what? Okay, I'll check it out to see, if he can write something besides, humor.
That.
And yeah, so this is much more of a prototypical, oretsue isekai. Um, so it's like a guilty pleasure this season. Like, okay, I'll watch it. Okay, yeah, this is second episode not great. Third episode a little bit better. And the premise, right? The one of the greatest assassins in the world is betrayed by his organization just as he's trying to retire. Is killed. And then as he is dying, a goddess pulls him in, and that goddess is super sketch.
Yeah.
And she says, "Hey, I want you to. I'm going to give you, a redo essentially in this other world, but I need you to kill the hero after she saves the world because she's going to end up destroying the world." So he's like, "Well, I got a whole nother life and not being a tool for the organization that used me and threw me away. So sure, I'll take that." And that's how it starts. So he's reincarnated as a noble family who just happens to be assassins for the kingdom. And from there, it's a world of magic, and he has some skills that he was able to choose himself. And based on that, he is aiming to become the greatest assassin and eventually assassinate the hero before she destroys the world. Or so you're led to believe. I don't know if that's actually true, because there's something wrong with that goddess.
So
But maybe Tank can fill us in because he's probably read it.
yeah, I've been reading the manga. I've read the manga way back in the day and been keeping up on it. And I love the manga. The manga is really fun, and but it's hard to believe their ages because like I think they're older than what they really are, but in the end they're still like what 14, 16, around there
Yes,
in this
like
whole
that.
show. So um, at moments I don't think they're that old, and then all of a sudden we're brought back to reality by some other stuff that happens. I'm like, oh, that's why they're going to school. I forgot they're kids, and it's just full of craziness going on, and but the thing that I found very interesting and was pointed to me yesterday when I was watching this with a group of friends, and I didn't even notice it, but it looks like quite a few people noticed it. But if you watch the show with subtitles and you hear them chant their magical spells, all their spells are just the words in English backwards.
Hmm. I thought that was pretty funny.
So when she says fire, it's like just fire backwards when they say it. And create rifle, create gold, create all the spells they're using are just all those words spelt backwards. And
That's hilarious.
so I thought it was pretty funny that they're doing that. And I didn't even catch it. It was just something other people put. And then I just love reading the comments on Crunchyroll. There's so many hilarious uh, things that they just say about the show and different things that are happening in it. But overall, I know it's in the manga at least we get to see the hero, but overall the manga is actually too far, I believe, in story. So I believe this is going to easily catch up to where the manga is, but I don't think it'll go past that. So it may just be like this 12 episode season and then have a hiatus so more story can be put out. But then again, if you said there's a light novel, so maybe they still have a lot more content that they can do without needing the manga. So I don't know how far it's gonna go, but it's been pretty fun and it's looked halfway decent. I do make fun of some of the animation in it, like the mother's necklace. She has that weird star thing, but on her when they show her from the side, it's like flat on her chest, like it has no. It's not like it's even a necklace. It's like they put a sticker on her chest.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
So there's moments where the animation looks really awkward and stuff, where they didn't put too much details. But there's all these theories people are throwing out right now amongst my friends that are watching this, like what's the relationship between certain people and stuff and things. But um, we'll just have to watch the anime and see how it goes. They're already telling it quite different from how the manga is storylining it. So I'm not going to try to base this off of the manga. I'm just going to try to take it as its own thing because while other shows I got upset they didn't follow the manga, this show and the manga, I don't feel there could be they have to follow it at all because it's just that loose of a book. You know, it's not really that impactful or emotional, or I need this moment for it to be good because of the manga. It's just a straightforward, you know, here's these things that are happening. As long as they hit these key points, I think it'll be still be entertaining enough. But there were some awkward moments, I would say, but overall,
I just checked. It looks like there's 3 volumes of the manga out. There's 6 volumes of the light novel out. So clearly, there's a lot more stuff in the light novel.
yeah. So
Yes, um, my husband has read the novels. I'm not sure how many he's read, but he said that the first episode of the anime was completely original, that does not happen at all in the books. So it could be that they're going to take it in a different direction, or that could have just been the introductory episode, because I can't imagine that episode 2 would have pulled that many people in, because it was
Yeah.
not a gripping episode at all. So I can see
I would
why they.
agree.
yeah. But overall, I'm kind of enjoying it. It's not like something I can say, oh, you have to watch this isekai. But it's entertaining enough that I think I can continue watching it every week. Okay. I should have been paying attention. I didn't get the next title up. Oops. But that's it for the Assassination Classroom, as someone called it that a while ago. By mistake. What is this, senpai? Okay, this is called Senpai ga Uzai Kohai no Hanashi. My senpai is annoying.
Yep.
Let's see here. What do we have? Who's been watching this? Vinny and Groovy, which is gone. I have to say, there's been quite a few of these Uzai, you know, annoying shows coming out, right? With the Uzaki, then you had Nagataro, and then there was like these classmates where the girl picked on the boy that were in middle school and stuff like that, right? So here's another one with the whole Uzai annoying thing going on. But as I watched it, I didn't really feel that it was quite like the others. It's not like the guy's trying to deliberately pick on him or pick on her, I should say. Or there's teasing going on just to showcase affection or just to be silly. It's just that as she's doing her normal life, doing her job, the personality of this character just kind of irks her a little bit, and then she puts herself into these situations where she's really embarrassed, and how the guy reacts kind of annoys her. So it's not like he's trying to be annoying in the sense of like Uzaki and them. So it's really different, and it's also takes place in a sales department rather than these high school students or school students just having fun every day. It's just them going to work, them having their life, doing things, and just interacting with their coworkers, with the main little girl, whatever her name is.
Igarashi Futaba.
Yeah, I just watched this today, so I'm not too familiar with everything. So, but yeah, I mean it's been really actually entertaining and fun compared to the others that I've seen. And I think this one's a lot easier, I think, for other people to get onto than the other, like Uzaki and them. What do you think, Vinny?
Yeah, mostly on point on what you said. I found Uzaki to be completely intolerable and annoying, and the other one just seems to be too much about meanness, mean streaking, and or teasing. I didn't care for much. Whereas this is really more about the main character who's incredibly short for a grown up, paired up with her superior mentor who is as big as he gets. He played the judo when he was in school. He's like probably like a 6'7", jacked up kind of guy. So it's a complete mismatch. And a lot of times, her what she felt annoying or annoyance is really mostly in her head, and she tends to self-destruct a lot. And then she has that whole tsundere tendency, which is also transparent to everybody around her, except that her mentor or senpai, who's pretty much uh, thick as it gets, has no sense of catching on any kind of social clue, which is a good thing since it makes her level of things that she considers to be shame to be tolerable because he didn't get the clue in to really even respond appropriately or inappropriately or in a way. Um, when I first watched the episode, I was like, wait a minute, this feels a lot like what Toga Kobo would be picking up, and at the end of the credit rolling, and so sure enough, it was theirs. For one, it's not lowly serious, which is a good thing that they kind of went back to their usual rom-com, light-hearted stuff, which is their really bread and butter at this point. I believe the creator of Kawawa series is really big on this creator. I think that he follows him a lot. So every time there's a new chapter that's released on his Twitter account, he always tags them. So I was kind of aware of what this series is about. And it's easy enough to follow. It's a office romance comedy, a little drama, a lot of comedy, mostly Futaba self-destructing herself. So if rom-com is your thing, that this will be easy to follow. Um, there's nothing really groundbreaking or anything like that, but I like the fact that most of the characters are fairly level-headed. They're not steering towards too much into anything, which can be off-putting. Which I found out with the Uzaki. That's her tantrum tends to be a little bit too much for me to handle. But this isn't one of those annoying series.
Yeah. Other than that, not much else. I don't think there's much else to say about this show. It's just a rom com slash slice of life of these office workers, and you're just there to see the funny antics of Futaba and the senpai. And it, like I said, it's usually just Futaba, the main character, the main female protagonist, just pitting herself in these situations where she mostly just embarrasses herself in front of her senpai Harumi. So it's not like the main character's doing anything to her. It's just she's embarrassing herself and causing misunderstandings with other people. Like,
Series setting is similar to the otaku series. Another office drama comedy rom-com series.
which one?
Wotaku.
Oh, with the otaku in the workplace, right?
Yeah, that one. I find that the settings are somewhat similar. They both take place in office workers. There's some romance going on, a lot of comedy thrown in.
I think these characters have. Yeah, I think it's somewhat similar. Just instead of an otaku quirk, these people have different ones.
It's more about their body complex thrown in there instead of their hobbies and what have you.
I can't wait to see more of the OG son, the grandpa. He looked cool.
Battle of the jacked up people.
But yeah, I think it's fun. That's all I can say. It's if you have nothing else to do or nothing else going on, maybe try an episode. You may find it slightly entertaining. I wouldn't say it's a show that you should follow, but you know, if you got nothing going on, it's at least a halfway decent show that you can just get into real quick and just start watching. And it's got an actually decent score, I think. Let's go to the next title, which just so happens to be. Oh my god, that's long. Okay, let me try this. Shin no nakama ga nai toyusha no party wa, or sorry, wo oidasareta node henkyou de slow life suru koto ni shimashita. Or also known as banished from the hero's party, I decided to live a quiet life in the countryside. I was kicked out of the hero's party because I wasn't a true companion, so I decided to have a slow life at the frontier. Wow, that's a mouthful.
You did it.
This is I've read the manga and I've actually loved the manga. The manga is really fun, and the crazy thing about it is that it's not an isekai. It's just a pure fantasy show, and surprising as that is, it's I thought maybe, oh, if it's not isekai, it's this fantasy show. There's definitely got to be a harem aspect. No, there's no harem aspect either. It's it's skipped a lot of like the main tropes you would see, and has created something nice, fun, and it's at least seems to be have a slow start. So we have the main character, which goes by the name Red at the moment. That he was part of the hero's party and was traveling with them to, you know, defeat whatever the demon lord. And at that moment in time, the I guess kind of I want to say he's the antagonist, but he's one of the party members. And everyone just seems to love to hate him. Ars confronts Red, saying, you know, because of your gifts, which I guess everyone in this world gets a gift which helps them with their strengths and weaknesses depending on the gift they get. Like if they're a warrior, they'll have a lot more abilities for fighting. If you get like a blacksmith, you have these skills that can help you with blacksmithing and stuff. So there's so many different types of weird gifts, but his gift isn't strong. So he's told that because of his gift, he won't be able to help out in the party anymore. So he wants him to leave and convinces Red to leave. So he decides that now that he's no longer part of the hero party, he's going to go, you know, live out his new dream, which I guess is becoming a pharmacy owner. So he goes out into the middle of nowhere, starts being an adventurer under the new name to try to earn money to build his own pharmacy, which he does actually really quickly. And within the first episode, I think he's already done with that whole goal. So now it's his life running the pharmacy, and then we meet Rit. Her real name is actually something really complicated, which I didn't bother to remember. And she was actually, I believe, a princess that fought with the heroes at one point. And she meets Red and decides that she wants to help Red. And you can tell there's this affinity with them. And it's just like this kind of slice of life thing out in the frontier with Red and Rit running this pharmacy. Now, because I've read the manga, I know where it's going to go. There is going to be some conflicts and actions that are going to be happening soon, I would say. But overall, it's a really decent show. And it isn't too shonen-y right now, but I think it will start picking up. But the only thing I could say is that they really toned down the hero girl, Ruti, and how they others perceive her, because in the manga they always had her have this really dark aura that oppresses everyone, that they're so scared of her, and they make everything really dark around her. While in the anime it doesn't, you can see that they're somewhat afraid of her, but it it's not so much as oppressive as they did in the manga. But other than that, I mean, it's really fun, and the characters are pretty true to what is in the manga and everything, and it's great. I don't have nothing to complain about this isekai. Or sorry, it's not an isekai. It's a fantasy. No isekai. This fantasy. So, what about you, Albert? You saw this, right?
Yeah, so I actually read the manga for a bit. I think I'm up to like volume 4, maybe 5. I don't know. I know for the light novels, there's a lot more, so there's a lot more material. The problem I had when I watched the anime is that, like by episode 2, there clearly are scenes where the characters look off model, and I'm like, huh, it's only episode 2. And story wise, it is kind of refreshing to see that it is just a fantasy world, but again, it's a fantasy JRPG world. So there's levels, there's skills, there's divine protection, their blessing, or whatever you want to call it. And the main character, his blessing is to lead the hero, or train the hero, I think, which means that initially he has a plus some amount of level above anyone else. So he starts off kind of cheating, but he doesn't grow as much. So he's essentially maxed out his level, while other of his party is now leveling up beyond him, and he can't catch up anymore. Right. So that's why he was told to, you're a liability. Why don't you leave? Um, so he wasn't technically banished from the party, so I find that title to be false, but whatever. Um, yeah, and despite this being a frontier area of this Podun kingdom, there are things that have been happening in the background that comes into play, and then there are rivalries, and there's a whole history of what happened that led up to that point where he realizes he doesn't, he's not contributing as much as he thought he was, or so he's led to believe. So it's interesting dynamics, but the manga wise, I'm reading, like I said, I'm on volume 4, I think, and I'm not sure where it's going. I mean, I can kind of see that the hero's party is not doing well without him, but at the same time, he's dealing with his little corner of the world. So I don't know. The anime wise, I kind of feel like it's okay, but it's not like a strong recommendation for me. So yeah, that's I'm a little worried about the animation.
All right.
So yeah,
It's
okay.
I'm going to skip a few things so we can get through a little faster because we're running a little longer than I think we want.
Yeah.
But I'm going to skip the monkey evolution thingy anime, isekai. Did you want to talk about the Otome Taisho, Jessica, or
Yeah, I can just be real quick about it. Um, it
so?
is a story that takes place in the Taisho era, obviously, and it's about a boy whose family kind of cast him out after he was in a car accident and lost the use of his right hand. his dad straight up tells him, "You're worthless. I don't care what happens to you," and so he gets exiled to a really rural area of Japan. And his dad buys him a bride off of a family that had a lot of debts, that had incurred debts from the dad, and so the young girl goes to live with this boy, and it's very much a healing hands type of anime. The main character, Tadahiko, I think his name is extremely depressed and not really in a good way, and so the young girl just brings a ray of sunshine into his life, and I think that that's the trajectory of the show. But what's really interesting is that the show opens up with her walking through the snow singing a hymn, What a Friend We Have in Jesus. And I thought that that was really weird for there to be an American hymn in a Japanese show, about love, romance, and marriage and everything. So I did a little bit of Googling, and it turns out that that hymn is played at a lot of weddings. So that makes perfect sense. If she is a bride walking to her future husband's home, that's why she would be singing that song. The lyrics are completely different. I think it's called "The World of Stars" in Japanese. It doesn't have anything to do with religious, with Christianity or anything. But yeah, that's just basically what it is. I'm gonna watch a couple more episodes before I decide whether or not to follow it.
All right. Next up is Talk OP Destiny. And all I can say about this is more of you need to be watching this. It's beautiful. Or at least starts off beautiful. It looks really good, nice and I think the synopsis: a meteorite fell, a black meteorite, and created these monsters. I don't know, or if they came with the meteorite. They call D2s that started wreaking havoc, and I guess the reason was because of music. So because of that, basically music has disappeared from Earth, and while trying to figure out how to battle the D2s, they found these thing that they call, or I can't remember if they found them or if they created them, musical arts, which are these people that they've changed to be able to battle the D2s, and then they also come with like a conductor, which helps them with their movement. And I don't know exactly how much influence they have with the whole fight right now, but it's really entertaining because this whole thing right now so far takes place all in the United States. So like in the first episode, I believe they're in Texas trying to get to New York, and even in the second episode they bring up a whole map of the United States, and it's pretty accurate. And we did see comments and stuff about how they misspelled some more places, and they were just making a lot of different jokes about how things looked in there, but it's been pretty interesting experience watching the show, and the music is lovely. And what was it? Oh, the music was by Supercell. That's the only other thing that I really thought was cool, that they're coming back. Ryo from Supercell is the one who's making the soundtrack, and we got them in the opening credits going. So that's really been really fun. But it's got a lot of really interesting music, classical. I think you even play some jazz on the piano and stuff, and just having fun in certain parts as they go through how we got to this moment. But it's been really entertaining show. And what do you have to say about Albert?
Yeah, so this is I mean, visually it's really neat. The setting, the whole monster thing is very hokey, but whatever. So Tact is like the main character's uh, shortened name. He's Takto, and then OP is for opus, as in music, uh, music scores. Right? Opus is how you numerically, I believe, number your scores as you create them. And then Destiny is, I guess, most of these girls that are magical, they're music arts. Um, they're named after classical music pieces, so you can, you know, Destiny is after Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Um, so it's interesting that aspect. It's also interesting from a production standpoint because this is both Madhouse and Mappa doing the animation, and I think they're alternating between the studios on each of the episodes. Um, but yeah, the music has been fantastic. I thought it was all going to be classical, but episode 2 and 3, there is a lot of big band swing type music, which I really appreciated. That they are, exploring not just the classicals, but other music pieces. So hopefully we'll hear some more, I don't know, jazz or ragtime or any number of things, right? Uh, Uh, First episode, stunning animation. Second episode, I think it took it. It's you could tell that the style is slightly different. Um, so there's that. I don't remember episode 3 which way it falls, but there wasn't as many action scenes. I think in episode 3 there's a little bit more of a worldview as they're trying to make their trip across the United States, where the Midwest is just one giant crater from the infection or whatever that the B2 has caused. So yeah, I mean, I think it's worth watching at least one episode to see what you think. But I am obviously concerned about it being set in the U.S. and the depiction of that. I'm also concerned about one of the characters that appears is, clearly gay, but uh, is kind of stereotyped with the way he talks and dresses. Japan does not have a good record about LGBT representation, so hopefully they don't do something really stupid. Um, the world is also in crisis, and so this organization who dresses up in this very militaristic organizational look, I would say fascist almost, so I'm a little concerned about that too. But yeah, so far it's certainly well worth taking a time to at least watch the first episode. So that's where I stand, and I will continue to watch it and let you know what happens at the end of the season.
So you mentioned that new character and how he is. I don't know if he's gay. I think he might be go either way because of maybe the marking on his neck. That's a thing that they call an alto clef, which is it sits and hits the notes between treble clef and bass clef. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like in between the two sides. So maybe he's just yeah. I'll just leave it at that. But I thought that symbol that he had on his neck was interesting, and we researched it a little bit and found out that was the alto clef because I was like, I've seen that before, and I know it's not treble clef, bass clef, but we eventually found out what it was. And um, other than that, I can't wait for the soundtrack to come out on that because the whole thing sounds really great, and it's just really fun. But I have a question for Jessica. Nosferatu, you want to discuss that or
Which one?
the Nosferatu Tsukito Laika to Nosferatu?
I've only seen one episode on it. It's kind of interesting. Um, I think I'm gonna keep up with it. Let's see, if I had to explain it in a couple sentences, it's basically what if Russia during the space race decided to send vampires to space as cosmonauts? And yeah, I guess we're gonna find out. So, just the premise alone I thought was pretty funny, and I'm along for the ride.
I hate that synopsis that you just gave because now I'm like seriously considering it. It's like, are they more resistant to cosmic rays? And it's like, would they be better astronauts or would they just melt in the sun all the time? I don't know.
Well, I know Dave and I actually had a whole conversation of, well, would they have to stay out of the solar rays and all of this stuff? Um, so yeah, I don't think the show wants us to think that hard about it, but who knows? Maybe they'll
Too late. I'm thinking hard. I'm like, can you pack less life support in the craft if they're vampires?
Well, I'll tell you why that they picked the vampire. It's good because apparently in this world, right, vampires are less than human, so they don't want to risk a PR disaster by sending a human. So they're going to send a vampire who's less than human because they already had a PR disaster, almost PR disaster when they sent up the dog, and the dog, successfully blah 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 is a hero of it's the pseudo Soviet Union, but in fact they covered up the fact that the dog burned up because there was a malfunction, so it became a crispy dog, and the people that had sent it up, it was a beloved dog, a cosmonaut dog, and they all had like a mental breakdown. So they don't want to repeat that, so they're going to send a less than human subject, not a person. That's the whole premise.
Okay. I remember an episode of Space Dandy involving Laika the Cosmo Dog.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
Laika shows up all over the place,
All right, and then the last two shows are just some shorts that a few of us have watched. One is called Gambare Doki-chan, which I believe is based off of a doujin.
Yes.
And
this is the same author, Yoma, as Mirror Tights.
Yeah.
The Tights show.
Yep, that's the one.
He posts on Twitter all his 4-panel manga about Doki-chan. So people actually go in and translate it to like Spanish, English, and Portuguese. If you follow each thread, so you can go to Twitter and find out the basic story. But it got an anime adaptation, which is, I mean, it's not high art, okay. But anyway, there you go. It's a short.
Yeah. Well, what is it, like 7 minutes long or something like that? And
Something like that.
it also
About an office lady that really wants her, doki meaning the same. So there's senpai, there's kohai, and doki means you're in the same term or you came on board at the same time. Right? So it's your not your classmate but your workmate, but you entered at the same time. That's what doki means.
Doki.
Right?
I was for some reason when I heard you, I was thinking of Doki Doki, but no, it's Doki.
Doki. Yeah, so Doki-chan, right, the main MC, and the guy that she's interested and wants his D, they entered the company at the same time, so that's why they're Doki. So,
I'm going to have
Doki-chan.
Yeah, I'm going to have to see if I can find the beginning of it and see like if they started from the beginning of where the guy created or if they just started at some random point.
I don't know.
The other one is another ecchi, I think doujin title, which is Tawawa no Monday. Or on Monday.
Yeah, season 2, man. Season S2.
Yeah, it picks right off. Just they did introduce one new character, which I don't know anyone's name except for Ai-chan. That's all I can say. And all the males are called by some weird things like Oni-chan, Sensei, and Senpai. None of them ever are given a name, I don't believe. And all I have to say is visually, it's good for me. I like it. Other than that, it's also one of the few shows, I think Gambare Doki, it also has end cards at the end of it. So it's fun to watch it to the end and see those end cards that they've shown. But other than that, just, I guess it's just eye candy, really. Not much else to say about it.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did a Google image search for it because I didn't recognize the title, and it's a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think what made it really popular was that
Lots of
the
plans.
author made it in blue ink, a lot of it.
Okay, that's because I'm seeing that, and I thought, well, maybe that's just a weird scan of the phone book manga that it comes in or something. But
I think the Tawawa is currently serialized in a magazine, and
Is
they
it?
just put out the 2 volumes. And he actually put out the regular volume tankobon, your typical volume set. Yeah, and then he also released the same volume in a limited blue print, much bigger at the same time, just like he does in his doujinshi.
I just read the Twitter feed, and it's interesting because like whatever the Japanese is, I don't know if you know Daniel Kanemitsu. He's a professional translator.
Oh yeah.
He also, yeah, he's like the main guy doing all the Evangelion movies, and he was in charge of the entire translation project. So he's pretty famous. He's been to like SakuraCon where I've met him on a panel, and anyway, he like translates it. So if you follow on Twitter and you don't know what the hell the is going on, you could just scroll down and he'll have a translation. So,
He also,
but yeah,
I was gonna say
what?
the artist also releases a lot of stories that are silent. There's no words or anything, and it's just told by frame and just viewing what's happening, and it tells a coherent story that way, which is really fun. So there's no translated
Yeah.
need. But the only other thing I want to mention is that I bought a few of their books, and I got this little Tawawa charm. It came with it. I was like, I didn't even expect it. I was like, what's this? I'm like, oh my gosh, no way. But yeah,
Yeah.
their books are expensive.
I mean, on the one hand, I mean, you know what you're getting into, but the problem I have with this one is it's always JK and some salary man, and then in the current season, I guess I don't think I even watched the first season. Anyway, in the current season, there's like the whole arc about a JK in love with her sensei, and I'm just freaking tired of that trope. I find it highly disturbing.
I think
Yes,
there's
I know it's
also the
Japan.
kohai and senpai in the office too, although they don't get mentioned.
Yeah,
very
that one I
often.
don't mind as much, but the sensei stuff just really bothers me.
Hmm.
Just really
They really love
bothers
that
me.
stuff.
So okay,
I know it's a whole trope. Anyway,
I
we're
think
going on way too long.
yeah, I think Violet Evergarden is going to be a long discussion, so I kind of want to skip that. Or do you guys really want to talk about Violet Evergarden movie?
Dude,
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually have that much to say about it.
Okay, give me a second. Let me just remove this. The name, the Tawawa name, and then Go at it, Violet Evergarden. While I go grab something.
Violet Evergarden. It's this. It's the second movie, not the first one. It's the one that wraps up the thing about the Violet Evergarden and the Major, who we don't know is dead, but we're pretty sure he's still alive though. Because why would they keep bringing it up? So it is a perfectly good, like no frills wrap up to that. It kind of it puts the period at the end of the sentence of the Violet Evergarden story, and of course it ends in like Violet Evergarden needing to write the perfect letter to reach the man's closed off heart or whatever. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I by the time I got there, I was just kind of like duck faced, and yeah, it's like, all right, Violet Evergarden. I know this is how it had to end. I know this is what you were the whole time, but I don't know. It didn't grab me, even though like logically it makes perfect sense. There's also a B story that supports the A story about like a kid in the hospital who's dying, and Violet has to write a series of letters or something.
Yeah. I think you watched it on Netflix? John?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't watching out for the movie. It just happened to be there. I'm like, oh, this is here. May as well watch it.
Sounds like he just had enough of it.
So I watched it in the theater, right? I think we discussed it briefly, maybe on the channel on Discord, but yeah, I mean it concluded, and it was beautiful visually. I still have problems with the whole story, and I have problems with some of the character development arc. I really had hoped that the Major was dead. So there's that.
Yeah, it kind of made more. I was hoping that he was dead too, but we knew that wasn't going to be the case.
So much hate.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth watching because it's KyoAni, but Violet Evergarden, the series, despite some really, really beautiful, couple of episodes here and there, like the overall, I don't think is like their top tier material, and yeah, I have a lot of issues with how the story progresses, and the TV series that the last two episodes I think is highly problematic. And
I barely remember the show, so I don't even remember now.
There's a whole possible reopening of the war because there's a rebellious fact, blah blah blah. Anyway.
Oh right, yeah, and then she had to stop bombs on a bridge on a train or something. I don't know. Something really silly happened there.
Yeah, so I had problems with that, and then this movie, I could see where it's going. Like I could see the trajectory of where it's going. The fact that I knew, and that's exactly what happened, right? Like you could have written something a little bit better, I thought. But again, KyoAni, it's beautifully animated. It's a tearjerker, and it hits all the right beats. So if you know exactly where you're getting into.
Yeah, it's like an expected, but it's an execution of its own formula, right? Like I guess I would have liked a twist or something. And the Major is alive is not the twist. it's like the thing that you expect, So I guess like Violet Evergarden does kind of reveal itself as a anime for like young teenage girls, and just sort of like giving you the thing that you want.
Yeah, I guess so.
Whereas like if the Major was dead or something, like that would have more impact even.
Oh, I got the heart of a teenage girl. I loved it.
And it's kind of, and as like a movie, it's kind of unspectacular in the sense that like at no time does Violet Evergarden paradrop from an airplane and like smoke a bunch of evil soldiers or whatever. I think that happens in the show at one point.
Yeah.
Like there's no spectacle to it. It's just straight up here's like a long episode of Violet Evergarden.
I don't know. I mean, given the hell that went through, I'm just glad it actually came out and be done with it.
Mm-hmm. All I gotta say is that
So,
once
yeah.
they started playing the original ending song, there's so many crying in the theater. So many people. Just hearing but nothing but sniffling. I was crying too, but you know, it was just so much fun.
Manly tears.
Like I got dust in
Yeah,
my eye.
I mean, it's on Netflix, so go watch it. Go support the anime on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Well, with that said, I'd like to thank you all for joining us. Hopefully, we have a great time with this season. I mean, there seems a lot more people are watching quite a few different titles here. Let's see how many actually stay. But I think there's a lot of potential for this season compared to the last. But other than that, thank you all for joining us. Sorry we had to split this in half, but until next time, that we had. I'd like to thank Albert, Vinny, Jessica, Sean, and Groovy for joining us, and it's been a lot of fun.
Thanks for hosting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone.